Episode of Drawing with Jaylen. This is episode 2. Today we're going to be going over gesture and how that affects your drawings and how it can improve your drawings as well. And let me find my pencils wherever they disappeared to. But yeah, gesture. Oh, seriously, where are my pencils? There we go. Gesture is a wonderful way to give your drawings a lot more body and a lot more rhythm. Because if you don't have rhythm, your drawings can come across very stiff and you lose a lot of momentum that way. Your characters don't feel alive. They feel just kind of posted onto a page and you lose a lot of your movement like that. So, same thing with episode 1. I'm going to go through and answer some of the questions that you guys had and we're just going to fly through the questions and I'll answer them best way I can. And if you guys have any questions up here on the live, by all means, feel free to ask. All right, so when it comes to gesture drawing, someone asked, what is gesture drawing? Gesture drawing is essentially capturing the movement of a pose. You're not going through and drawing the whole pose, you're capturing the movement of it. So, for example, here, make sure this isn't blurry for you guys. Got a little bit of blur over here. All right. Yeah, so for example, say we have somebody and they're moving. A gesture drawing is essentially we're just capturing the movement of this pose. So this is someone they're like throwing their hand up in the air. Notice how I'm not getting too specific here on what goes where. We're really just capturing the motion of this pose. Let me make sure this isn't blurry for you guys. Okay. So this is gesture drawing at its core. You're capturing the movement of a pose. So with gesture drawing, you do want to understand that poses have rhythm, okay? Where there is an in, there is an out, and vice versa. So let's say you have a pose here and maybe someone's leaning over, right? Maybe they're walking. How about that? So you can see where there's that out, there's also an in. So you're capturing the rhythm of this pose, even with the arms here. An in, and there's an out, and where there's an out, there's also an in. So that is essentially gesture. You're capturing the rhythm of a pose. And you're capturing the flow of the pose as well. How is that body flowing in space? So gesture is all about understanding the underlay of what's going on with these poses. All right. How long should it take to draw a gesture drawing? Not long at all. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time on these because the idea is not to get them perfect. That's not what you're trying to do. The main idea of gesture drawing is to capture the flow of the pose. So when you're drawing a gesture drawing, you just want to capture the flow. What's going on? How is this body positioned? How is this body moving in space, right? That's all you want is see how I'm just kind of flowing through this and capturing the poses here, capturing the rhythm. That's really what you're looking for. Can you find the rhythm? See? Yeah, gesture drawings, you don't want to spend too much time on them because you start to lose the flow, and then you're trying to nitpick and trying to figure out what goes where. No, no, no. A gesture drawing, you're just looking for the flow of the pose. Then you can go through and add some anatomy if you want to, or some constructive figure drawing. Maybe we can do a figure drawing, sure. You can see how this just kind of flows on top here, right? And we'll just do this other leg here. But you can see how the gesture holds its weight and why it's so important. This is why. And after this, of course, you could put anatomy over the top of it if you really wanted to. But this is why gesture drawing is so important. Let me make sure I can actually see the comments as well. Because for whatever reason. Oh, what's good, what's good, what's good? Does gesture drawing also use a line of action? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So all poses have a line of action. Every single one. Regardless of what kind of pose it is, even if someone's standing straight up, there's a line of action there. So let's say someone's taking off, right? They're running. This is the line of action right here. The line of action essentially comes down to being the spine of the figure. And that's where all your momentum resides from. Right? So like I said, we have someone running here. And put this arm like that. And we'll have this arm like that. So yeah, you can see how the line of action plays this role. And then of course you could go through and add your anatomy and whatnot if you really wanted to. Got an arm right here. Right. Another arm. And you can see how the gesture just it plays this role in capturing the motion of that figure. See? So yeah, every pose has a line of action, regardless of what kind of pose it is. It's a good question though. I don't use it because whenever I use it, I feel like I draw the torso and pelvis too high, if that makes sense. Yeah, sure. Sure. So yeah, the line of action is just capturing the flow. It's just capturing the flow. That's it. Yeah. Don't have to rack your brain around it too hard. The line of action is literally it's just showing how the action is moving within the pose. All right. The next question is how do I exaggerate movement? That's a really good question. So there's a few different ways to do that. I would say one of the best ways is understanding boxes. Let's say you're drawing a character. One of the best ways to exaggerate movement is to take the top box that represents the rib cage and the bottom box, which represents the pelvis, and offset them. So if the rib cage is facing this way, take the pelvis and point it this way. And what this will do is it will cause the body to twist, right? So here, say, right, this hand's going across here, and this hand is right here. But now the body is twisting. So there's a lot more movement in this pose now because the body is twisting. Just because we've taken those boxes and switched them to opposite directions and have them facing opposite directions. So that causes torque and it causes the body to show more movement and more dynamism. Right, and that's what you want if you're trying to really exaggerate a pose. Right. All right. Just make sure you guys can see that. All right. And one artist I would study if you really want dynamic poses is Todd McFarlane. He uh he did runs for Spider-Man back in the 90s, but he had a way of really contorting the body and showing a lot of dynamism in his pose. So I would go through and study him for sure. Oop, here's my there we go. Lead was stuck for a second. But see what Todd would do is he would really exaggerate that line of action. So instead of the line of action just being like a regular, Spider-Man's just kind of hunched over, he would basically fold Spider-Man. So now he's really into the pose, and I'll show you what I mean here. And we'll still use gesture. We'll use gesture to line this up so you guys can see what I'm saying. Since gesture is the topic of discussion today. Like I said, you don't want to spend too much time on gesture. Just going through and capturing the rhythm of the pose. All right. Okay, cool. And I'll just add some anatomy to this. But you'll see what I mean here. The line of action goes right through the middle here, and it's almost like a C curve. So what this does is it causes the pose to be very extreme and very, very dynamic. We're not going to get too much into anatomy because this is more of a gesture drawing class today. But I just want to show you guys what I'm talking about here. And I'll put that elbow right there. But yeah, absolutely go check out Todd McFarlane because the way he portrays his characters, especially in his Spider-Man runs, especially very dynamic poses. And since you guys will understand how to draw a gesture. Now, this can really be beneficial to you, especially if your favorite character is Spider-Man. Like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on this here. Got a few more questions that we got to answer, but just so you guys can see how the gesture does play out. I got the chest right here. All right, and then the foot. And then we got the other leg over here. All right. But really simple stuff here. Nothing too crazy. I'm not gonna get into shading or any of the major suit designs or nothing. I do want you guys to see how you can use your gesture lines to create a pose, especially if it's a really extreme pose. You need it to make that. I'll draw some webs. How about that? Cool. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. All right. So the next question. Why do my poses feel robotic? Yeah, that really comes down to your line of action is one thing for sure. But also just your gesture as a whole here. I'll show you the difference between a robotic stance, just someone standing straight up, and you'll see how the line of action and having rhythm in your gestures, excuse me, changes that. So you have somebody just standing here. Gesture drawings are essentially stick figures, just souped up stick figures, right? So you got somebody just standing, right? Cool. Now let's add some rhythm to that line of action. All right. Add a little bit of curvature, and we can go through and add to the arms here. Show some torso right there. Pelvis. And so you can see how just by adding a little bit of curvature here and rhythm, you see how this is a completely different pose, but not only does it look cooler, you have way more rhythm and way more swag, honestly. Like this is just someone's just standing straight up, and now we have almost a heroic pose. Let's see. I think we'll do one more question, and we'll call it. Da, 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 da. How do I make an action pose look believable? That's a really good question. And I think we'll use Spider-Man one more time, because why not? I think Spider-Man is probably one of the best references that you can use when it comes to working on your poses, because he's so athletic. As Spider-Man. One thing I would say is, first of all, get your gesture drawings down pat for sure. Also work on your figure drawings, and I'll show you a little rundown of how that goes from start to finish. So the gesture, we'll do this. I know you guys can't see my reference. We'll work on that. We'll work on that for episode 3. Hopefully we can get it situated by then. But, so these are his arms here. This is his body here. We'll have a leg up right here. And we'll have another leg back here, right? So this is our gesture drawing. Move this down a little bit so you guys can see. This is our gesture. Then what you can do is work on your figure drawing. Your figure drawing is just using basic shapes. I use circles and cylinders to create form. So you take shapes and you put them together, and with that you can create form. So there goes your circle, cylinder, circle, cylinder. Right? Let's do the same thing for the other side. These are just how you break down the arms. Circle and cylinder. You can see it's starting to come together. It looks more body-like, right? Got the chest right here. And then got the knee up here. Got another cylinder for the calf. And the foot will come right up through here. And it's got one leg right there. And the other is going to be right here. But see how we've just broken that down into basic shapes put together to create form. So now we have a pose of some sorts, right? And from here, find my eraser. I'll tell you what. Let's just work over the top of this because I'm not sure where my eraser is. But from here, just go through, add your anatomy. I really need to find that eraser. Here, I can use a kneaded eraser actually. Let's do that. Got my kneaded eraser here. It's dirty, so hopefully it doesn't smudge too bad. Oh, no, we're good. We're good. All right. So from here, we'll go through, and then you can add anatomy over the top of that. Right. Got Spider-Man's eyes right here. All right, and then we'll do the other side, this other arm here. And we got the knee. It's a very dynamic pose, very exaggerated, but like I said, this was what Todd McFarlane did. He really exaggerated the pose to really show the athleticism of Spider-Man. And like I said, we got the chest right here, the abdomen. You can see a little bit of it. And then, right, and just like that, we have a dynamic pose that looks realistic. Even though it's very exaggerated, it's still a realistic looking pose. So yeah, that's one way to make your poses look a lot more believable. And this is something that I wanna have a whole video about, just posing in general. But like I said, this was a quick lesson on how to use gesture drawing to improve your poses and your characters, you know. And if you'd like to learn more, check out the description. I do have a little link in there for any of you guys that want to fast track your drawing. That is the character artist bundle. And you can also join the free school community as well. That's in there as well. And I have lessons and courses in there. All right, guys, and that is the end of episode 2. I will catch you guys on episode 3. Can't wait to see you.